Hey everybody, this is Rusty again with Collector Auctions. I've got a new video for you this week. It is this week's comic book haul. And before we get started, guys, hit the like and subscribe buttons and please leave comments. I love hearing from you, and it's always interesting to see what your comments are about the books I'm picking up. And as always, if you're ever interested in any of the books that I've got in my videos, just reach out to me through collectorauctions@yahoo.com. Alright guys, so this week was a pretty big week. We got Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to everybody. A couple of my LCSs, local comic book shops, were having some pretty big sales this week. One in particular who have wonderful back issues, premium back issues, Golden Age, Silver Age, some really nice books, high grade books. They put those on for a 30% discount. It's one of two times during the year. I think they usually will do this. They'll do it at Easter as well. And then for the rest of the books, modern issues, things like that, they do a 70% discount. So that's, you can really pick up some of your run filler comics that you need. It works out really well. I ended up doing some of that as well. I picked up some really nice books from that shop. From the other LCS, I picked up some more modern books and everything, and anyway, we'll go through it. I've also got some orders that I've got in from Whatnot this week. I don't think I've got any in from eBay, but as you know, that can be any other week. We could have an order from eBay. So anyway, so let's get started. First, we'll start with Whatnot, and this is from one particular seller. Picked up a copy of X-Men #1. This is the Magneto cover. This is from the Jim Lee Claremont run from I believe it's 1991. And this is a really popular cover. It seems like this and the Wolverine Cyclops covers are the two most popular out of those, but Magneto's really popular. And also from the same seller, I picked up Marvel 2-in-1, number 54. And if you remember the storyline, this is part of the Project Pegasus storyline that the Thing was involved in. You've got Quasar. This issue in particular, you got the first appearance of Titania. I believe that's the first Titania. It's not the one that's the She-Hulk villain, but I could be wrong on that. It's also the first appearance of, and I've got it written on the back here, it's the first appearance of Screaming Mimi and the Grapplers. So it's a pretty key issue for that run. I loved it because of the artwork. I'm a big Thing fan. Ben Grimm was always one of my favorite characters. This storyline was just wonderful. It was right out of the Fantastic Four, and you could see, I always loved how you could have the Thing operating with other agencies and how he interacted with the rest of the Marvel Universe without having to worry about the Fantastic Four or anything like that. He could operate on his own pretty well. So I picked that up from one seller and Whatnot. And then from another seller, this is all earlier in the week. This one I was real happy to find because finding things on Whatnot, if you're looking for something very specific, it seems to be a little bit difficult. But I happened to see a seller who put this up. He had listed it in his auctions that he was going to be doing, and so I stayed with that seller. I ended up getting this book for a pretty good price. I don't have the price on me right off, but I know I didn't pay a lot for this. Did pretty good. It's a really nice condition. This is FF number 244. You'll remember from my other videos, from my Baltimore Comic Con videos, this is a book that you will see spotlighted in some of the previous videos, this video, and probably the next couple of upcoming videos. I love this book. I love the spec on this book. We'll see if Frankie Ray, Nova, this is her first appearance as Nova, as Galactus's Herald. We'll see if that plays out in the MCU. The way this book is trending right now, you suspect that it probably will be a character they'll love to bring in. So this ended up being a really nice copy. I'm very happy with that. All right, we got one. This is another Whatnot seller, and these were minor pickups. They're got a little bit of, I see a spine ticker here or two, but I didn't pay a lot of money for either one of these. This is Detective Comics. Which one is this? This is 578. This is the Todd McFarlane, one of the issues that he did on there. And then I picked up New Mutants 27. And that's I believe it's a second appearance, I'm not sure, of Legion, Professor Xavier's son. And both of those are actually in pretty high-grade conditions, even with the spine tick on that Detective Comics. So those are nice little pickups. Again, I didn't spend a lot of money on either of those. Alright. Continuing with Whatnot, we've got... I picked up 3 issues from another seller. This one, not quite as in good a condition as I would have liked, so I won't be getting this graded or anything, but this is Punisher War Journal number 6. Jim Lee artwork, Wolverine and Punisher together. I probably have this on my PC, but as I said, I was bidding on something else and I ended up adding this to my order. So I didn't pay a lot for this or for the shipping to add this on. Here's an issue that I got. It's in a really nice shape. This is New Mutants number 86, and if I remember right, isn't this the first appearance of Cable in Cameo? I'm not sure, but I remember this cover back in the day. I might even have this. I'm not even sure, but I thought it was always odd seeing the Vulture on a New Mutants book like that. That seemed very out of place at the time. But again, not a major pickup or anything, and I didn't spend a lot on it. Now, the book that I was going after was this one right here, and I spent a few bucks on it, but not a completely outrageous amount. This is Fantastic Four number 272. This is part of that Kang storyline that they've introduced in MCU in the Loki series. This is the series where Fantastic Four meet Nathaniel Richards, who is, I guess he's a Kang variant. I'm not even sure how. Again, you've seen this in previous videos. I don't know how it all fits in exactly. I know this is a key with the Kang storyline, but Nathaniel Richards, Reed Richards' father, is introduced in this storyline, 272 and 273. This, I think, is the more expensive of the 2 books. This is in really nice shape, and this is a book that will end up going into my press. We will work on it a little bit and get it up as the best grade I can get it possible. It will be going to CGC. Alright, continuing, I've got 2 small ones left here with Whatnot, and picked up from one buyer this week. I picked up 2 issues of Hawkeye, the series, the Matt Fraction series. This is issues number 8 and number 9. I never read this back when it came out. Wasn't that familiar with it. Hawkeye series is really hot right now. These books came up. I didn't spend a lot of money on it. I figure I want to keep these as readers. I'm not even sure if there is a spec value. So if there is a spec value in this, guys, let me know. Maybe won't read them. Maybe we'll take a little bit more care, put them in the press, and send them to CGC. I don't know. But again, those were not the main books I was getting out of order. This is the main book I picked up in from that particular seller. This is X-Men Adventures number 1, and this book has gotten super hot. This right here continues the adventures of X-Men from the cartoon show that everybody loves, and it now has just been announced that the Disney Plus Marvel is going to be doing the X-Men 97, which continues the animated series. This book was that. It was about the animated series characters. Never was a fan of it when I was a kid. I wasn't really a kid. I guess I would have been out of college at that point, but much younger. Anyway, I didn't like the artwork. I didn't care for it at all. I never even picked up a second issue, but I have been picking up this one again. I sent out one to CGC. I've already got it back graded. I got a 9.8 on that. On the second one I sent out, I got a qualified grade. There was some color touch on the cover. I don't know where it is, but it was teaching me a lesson that I need to always kind of check my books before I send them to CGC. Anyway, I didn't spend a lot of money on this, so I think I got a really good value on this. We'll check it out, put it in the press. This will probably be going to CGC as well. Alright, guys, I guess that was it. That was the last of the Whatnot orders this week. I'm going to get into the 2 LCSs I went to, and I apologize now. The video is going to end up being a little long because I went back to the one that had the really good back issues, and went back twice. And well, I went back to him, went to that store twice, picked up a lot of books. I ended up spending a lot of money, but it was not. I think there's a lot of value in what I bought. But anyway, let's go ahead. I'll start with the first one. Now, I went Wednesday. That was New Comic Book Day as well, and I do have new comic books I picked up, but I'm not going to go through those. But I will pick up what was also that day, which was Local Comic Book Shop Day. And Local Comic Book Shop Day. And they had special issues. If anybody who's in the comics world probably knows that they already have special issues coming out. I'll show you what I picked up. I'm sure a lot of you have picked up the same kind of books. I didn't go nuts or anything, but I got, here's Magic, Master of Metal. That's from Boom Studios. And then Detective Comics 1045. And DC vs. Vampires #2. And both of these, I think it's a metal cover. I'm not sure, but I think I got this at a really good price at the one LCS, because the other one was charging $10 a piece for those right there. Let's see, from Image Comics, I got Friday, Ed Brubaker's Friday. And then from Dark Horse, Joy Operations. And I don't know much about this book. I tried to pick up one copy of everything I had available, just so I would have it in a collection, or possibly if things go up in value. I know that what was it? It was the first reprint. It was the reprinting of the Something Stealing Children #1 that really has skyrocketed in price. So that's why I picked up House of Slaughter #1, the Jay Lee black and white variant there. Now you never know on some of these. And this is Radio Apocalypse. I think it's from Vault. And then Girl Scouts from Image Comics. And then Oswald's Body. I think that's a black and white variant. And then lastly, The Walking Dead Deluxe #27 with that foil cover, embossing of the logo, trade dress. I guess this would have been is this the first appearance in the color series, of course, of the Governor, I believe. But real nice books. I'm just going to put them in the personal collection, and we'll see if any of them end up coming out with good values or not. But what was nice about that day is if you showed up early for Local Comic Book Shop Day at Third Eye Comics in Annapolis, this big shout out to you guys. First 15 people in line got a special gift, and you didn't know what it was going to be. I've been there for a couple of those before, and I've gotten prints that have been signed by the artists that they were featuring that day. I've gotten some books and everything. So anything's a bonus, so it didn't really matter. I thought, I got the day off, let's go down and take a look at it. So they came out with a big bag, and they had 5 comic books in there. And some of these are their exclusive covers, and some of them are just limited prints and things like that. So I'll show you what I've got. Critter #1. I know nothing about this book. And I got from Future State, Superman of Metropolis. I don't think that's an exclusive cover or anything. But this is Commanders in Crisis. This is #1. This is the Mirka and Dolfo Third Eye exclusive on that. And that was real nice. That was kind of cool. And some of they have their price tags on there. You could pick these up from the store. They're selling that for $20. Now, the last 2 are the really nice ones. It was House of Slaughter #1. Again, another Mirka and Dolfo exclusive. This was from Graham Comics and Third Eye Comics together. With the trade dress, because I know you can get this also without the trade dress. But the last one was the big book, and everybody that got a bag, I think, got a copy of this. And we're all sitting there going, wow, that's pretty impressive, actually. So this paid off more than anything I bought or got in the bag else. This was worth the trip alone. And it's Strange Academy #1. Oops, first print And we're like, wow, that's really good. I mean, we're sitting there going, is the first print? I mean, that's fantastic. Every one of us got one of those. There are at least 15 of those they handed out. So that right there made the day worth it, if nothing else. And that book will end up going to CGC as well after I put it through the press. So anyway, like I said, I picked up a bunch of new comic books that day, and we won't go through that because most of you were probably picking up a lot of the similar books as well. But anyway, let's go on to the other comic book shop, and the one I've spoke about already, and that is Cards, Comics, and Collectibles up in Reisterstown, Maryland. And as I said, they have a big sale every Thanksgiving and the same sale in Easter. It varies a little bit, but normally what you get is 70% off of the modern back issues. You get off 50% off of all paperbacks and trade paperbacks. I know that there's big discounts on all the toys and games and things like that, but and statues I know were 50% off. So I don't know what the exact numbers on some of those were because I didn't get any of those this time. But the one I was focused on this year was their premium comics, basically Golden Age, so really higher grade Silver Age, and higher grade Bronze, Modern, anything like that. I mean, basically really good books. That doesn't mean to say that the modern books aren't good, but I'm talking about the more valuable books in the modern stuff. But anyway, let me get through it. You got a 30% discount on that. So I figured that into when I was buying this, and I ended up buying a lot, and I ended up getting some really, really good books, most with the intention of going to CGC at some point. And that's why I got it. That's why I got it at these prices. But let's start with the first book, and this is Berserker #1. This is Cards, Comics, and Collectibles #1 issue in this. It was their exclusive cover. Is J.G. Jones. I've bought this book before. I have gotten it slabbed before and got a 9.8 on every one of them I've sent out so far. I'm specking on this book. Hopefully this book will end up being even more valuable down the road when they actually get around to having more news about the movie and the animated series and things like that. But I love this cover. I love J.G. Jones. I think he's a wonderful artist. I've met him several times at the Baltimore Comic Cons over the years. Great to talk to. We've talked about art techniques and things like that. Discovered him when he was doing the Wanted series years ago, and that right there was probably one of my favorite comic miniseries I've ever read. So anyway, got a copy of that, and let's start off with the modern back issues, the things I got 70% on, and I'll just run through them real quick here. These were run fillers, things I had a small list of things. If I found them, I found them. If not, it wasn't a big deal. But I picked up Thunderbolts 129. I think that's a variant, second print variant on that one though. Thunderbolts 134, 137, and 162. And again, all of those were just run fillers. Now I also picked up copies of Marvel Comics Presents number 82 and 84. And I'm just going to hold it there. So if y'all know that, that's part of that Weapon X program with Barry Windsor Smith artwork. It's also part of the origin of Wolverine. You've seen me send some of these out already to CGC. If it's not issue 72, the rest of them you need to be able to get a 9.8 on it to make any money. There's a little value maybe at a 9.6 on some of them, but basically you need to get a 9.8. So luckily enough, I've got a 9.8 on at least one of them I've sent out. Hit a 9.6 on, especially on this number 84 right here. I hit a 9.6 on it. That was a little disappointing, but I knew I was in trouble. There was a spine tick that I just couldn't get out. But picked those up, and they weren't that expensive to begin with, so it was real nice. That 84 looks really nice. All right, more run filler. Got X-Men: The Hidden Years number 12 and number 13, and that's part of that John Byrne run where he continues the stories of X-Men after it finished with the original stories in, I think, X-Men 66. And he continued with doing some of the stories. They brought Tom Palmer came in and did the inking, and that's a continuation as well because Tom Palmer did the artwork. He did the inking over top of Neil Adams' pencils back in the day, and so it's a nice, I wouldn't say seamless, but it's a nice continuation of the look of the book from that point in time. So I love, as you all know, I love Tom Palmer artwork. I think I own one of the original art pages from this. It's John Byrne did Storm on the page, and it's just beautiful. All right, we got Amazing Spider-Man 63. I don't know, somehow this is pretty much brand new, and I don't know how I missed that, but I missed that. And then I picked up another facsimile copy. You know how I love my facsimiles. This is Star Wars #1. I had the reprint versions as a kid, and those are all beat the heck. Never had the original, but I picked this up with the idea of sending that into CGC, and like a lot of my other videos, you remember me getting some top books graded. Hopefully get a 9.8 on this. It ends up being a nice conversation piece that you can put up and talk about and everything. And then, let's see. Then the last two modern things I picked up. This is issue #3 of Generations #2. This is Superman and Batman. Another John Byrne work. Love this series. If you've never read this is really good. John Byrne takes Superman and Batman throughout the years and ages them, and as if they were really aging, and continues their families and how they survive and things like that. It's just an interesting project. I'm surprised you don't see more creators doing something similar to this. And then the last one in the modern things I picked up was Dark Knight #3. This is the Master Race, Frank Miller. This is book #7. It was just missing out on my run on those. I think I've got them all except for that one. So I ended up picking that up as well. Alright guys, that is the last of the small books that I got. Now these right here, this was the giant stack. And as I said, I apologize, this video is going to go a little long. I will try not to ramble about each of these, but I will just show you what I picked up. Some of these I'm going to end up getting graded. Most of them I'll end up getting graded. Some of them are for the PC. We'll see. But I picked up issue #1 of Nexus, Mike Barron and Steve Rude. Love this artwork. Excuse me for one sec. Sorry about that, guys. The video monitor went out on me there, so I just need to readjust. So I picked up Once and Future. This is issue #1. It looked like a really clean copy. I know there's a lot of spec talk about this book. So I picked it up. I don't know much more about that than seeing a lot of people spec on it. This is Amazing Spider-Man #568, one of the variant editions of this. I think this was a show exclusive. I'm not sure. But I've got a couple copies of this in the regular color and everything, so saw that. It was a few dollars. We'll see if there's any real value in that. That may just end up being in the PC for the moment. Alright, now I've got these broken down by company and by titles. I picked up Avengers. This is 189. This is just a classic John Byrne Hawkeye cover. There's no real spec value in it other than that right there, but this is a really nice copy. This one I just saw, loved this cover. I've got this in my collection, but I'm not sure if I've got it in high grade, but this one looked really nice, so I picked that up. This one I picked up. This is 257. This is the first appearance of Nebula, in the comics, the granddaughter of Thanos. In the movies, she's the daughter of, and again, they're going to be focusing on her in the next Guardians of the Galaxy movie. So this is her first appearance. That's a big spec book. I've sent out copies of my own. I've got 9.6s back on this. I paid a little bit extra on this, and hopefully with a little bit of clean and press, I can get this to a 9.8. All right, this is New Avengers number 27. Again, another book I've spotlighted in my videos before. This is the first appearance of the second Ronin. This is Clinton Barton as Ronin at this point. I don't think I believe so. It wasn't Echo was the original Ronin, and now it's Clinton Barton. And it ends up being a nice spec, but beautiful cover there. That's a beautiful ninja cover there. And then I picked up Young Avengers number 9. And I think this is the first cover appearance of Kate Bishop as Hawkeye in her costume on the cover. I can't keep them straight. Maybe that was issue 6. I know I wanted to get a better copy of this because I had all these issues originally, but this issue was really damaged that I had. I tried pressing out the creases that were in this, and take somebody with a lot more skill than me to get out those kind of creases. So I ended up finding a very nice copy, so I picked that up yesterday. Alright, so I found first issue of Hulk number 1, Red Hulk. I don't think I actually had this in my collection. I wasn't really buying a lot of Marvel at the time, just a few issues of that, but I do remember enjoying going back and reading a lot of these stories and just enjoying the artwork especially. And then this was a beloved comic from my childhood. I love this issue right here. I love this cover. This is Iron Man 127. It is, am I wrong? Is it the conclusion of the Justin Hammer storyline? I can't remember. Now I can't remember if that was the right villain or not. But I know that there was a storyline where his technology had been stolen, and he lost control and ended up killing somebody. It wasn't his fault, but he was on TV basically killing somebody. And this was the end of the storyline, and this particular villain hires all these other super villains and everything. And that's just a great cover here. Bob Layton, Iron Man goodness. You've got, you know, there's Blizzard and the Melter, Leapfrog, Whiplash is in there. So just actually love that cover. I remember drawing that cover over and over again when I was a kid. I loved that. It's one of those books that the cover inspired me to like art even more. I liked art to begin with, but I love that book right there. Made me want to be a comic book artist. All right, let's move over to the X-Men. I picked up a really nice copy of 164, and that is the first appearance of Carol Danvers as Binary, I believe, right? Is that Binary? One of her different incarnations. I think this is the beginning of when she started getting her powers back. I'm not sure how that all played out, but I know that's that issue. And this is X-Men 207. This was not a high-priced book, but a lot of people love that cover of Wolverine and everything, so I know there's a little bit of value to it, especially if you get it graded at a high grade. Alright, speaking of my spec books for X-Men, this right here, this one, and this one, again, you'll have seen it in my previous videos that I love these books. I love speccing on these books. I love getting these books graded. I love shooting for that 9.8 on both of these. This is X-Men 211 and 212. I didn't get 213. That's the classic Wolverine cover with Sabretooth, but this is the first 2 issues of that storyline. Love this artwork, especially this one right here with the Barry Windsor Smith artwork. Love that. Absolutely love that. So anyway, got those 2. They're really nice, high grade. Again, we'll see if we can get some good grades out of that. And you saw I picked up those same books at the Frederick Comic Show from last week. Now here's one. I probably didn't need to get this one. I've got this in my collection. I haven't put it through the process yet, but it wasn't a lot of money, so I went ahead and picked it up. It's a first cover appearance of Omega Red. This is X-Men number 5. Now this one I've got in my collection, but both copies are a little damaged, so I wanted to find a really good replacement for it. This is X Factor number 15. This is, I believe this is when Angel loses his wings, and I'm not sure if he becomes Archangel at that point, but I think this is when he loses the wings. Now, this is a book I had as a kid, and I recently looked at it, but I don't have it in super, super high grade, and so I just decided to go ahead and get another copy of this. This is The Further Adventures of Indiana Jones. Another John Byrne work. I mean, it's funny how much John Byrne I've actually got in this collection right now. But this has looked really super high grade. I don't know if there's a spec value in that at this point, but for right now, it is a PC book. Alright, now, I picked up some Thunderbolts earlier, but those were later issues. This is issue number 1. And I've got this in my collection. I didn't mind adding it to it. This is completely a spec edition. Everybody knows that they are doing something with the MCU right now. They are getting ready to either Thunderbolts or Dark Avengers. The money right now, I think, is on Thunderbolts because they don't want to confuse people by calling them the Dark Avengers, probably. But anyway, this looked to be super high grade. It wasn't that expensive, especially with the discount. So, not going to hurt to have a second copy of that. All right, another high grade copy of something that I've already gotten graded on my own collection is Alpha Flight number 1. I ended up getting a 9.6 on my version, and I've got a couple other copies of this issue number 1, and got some spine ticks that I don't think I'm going to be able to get out, and I wanted to add a really, really sharp issue to my collection. Hopefully I can get this out, and we'll get a 9.8 on that. I'll add that one to my own PC. I love Alpha Flight. Again, another John Byrne book right there. Alright, this is another addition to my collection. This is Machine Man number 1, Jack Kirby. I've already sent this out. One of my older videos, one of my first CGC submissions, after I had started cleaning and pressing my own books, I had my copy of it. Front of it, just beautiful. Absolutely stunning on the front. No damage, hardly. I mean, maybe a minor color rub or a spine tick, but minor, very minor. But on the back of it, I had the corner had been creased. I had pressed it out, but you can still see where the crease was. I guess the color broke just enough that you're not going to be able to even smooth it out, which it is smooth. It's still, you can still see it. So I ended up getting a pretty low grade on that. It was very disappointing. And this right here, hopefully, will be a replacement for that at some point. So I'm hoping we'll get a much higher grade than a 7.5. All right. This is a book. I loved this as a kid. This is one of my favorite covers of the 70s. This is Captain America number 29. It's when Captain Marvel gets his cosmic awareness, just adds to his fighting prowessness. Is that a word? And it's part of that Thanos storyline that Jim Starlin was working on at the time. Wonderful cover. I love this. It's one of my favorite cover from Jim Starlin right there. I still have those original copies, but boy, I mean, I read the heck out of those books. And I mean, I like Giant Size X-Men number 1. I read the cover off that book. It's, you look back at it with regret, but I enjoyed those books so much at the time. Now, this is a book. I had a copy of it. I sold it last year, and I kind of wanted to get it back in my collection. This is Spider-Woman number 1. Looks to be a really nice copy. Some minor damage here, but nothing. I think a good press will take a lot of this out. I'll have to check the back and make sure. As all of these, I'll take them out and we'll make sure the backs are clean, and we'll clean them up and everything. But real happy to have this back in my collection. All right. That was the end of the Marvel books. I got some DC ones here. So I picked up what looked to be a really nice copy of Batman number 404. This is the Frank Miller Batman Year 1 storyline, the first issue. I've gotten copies of this. I've actually got copies of this at CGC right now that they are working on. I've got a signed copy of this by Frank Miller that probably needs to be pressed, but that's in a different collection right now. But I wanted to make sure I can get a really high grade of this. I wouldn't mind getting this graded for my own PC. So I picked that up. Now this is, excuse me, some run filler. I don't know how I missed this. I actually thought I had all of these, but it's issue 7 9, and 11 of Batman The Long Halloween. And I don't know what happened. I could have sworn I had every one of these, and when I was doing an inventory of my collection, there was big holes. It either told me I either missed it, or those books are somewhere else in the collection, and we'll have to go find them. I don't know where they are. So, having bought these right here, I tend to think that I might not have gotten them, because the covers don't look familiar to me at all. So anyway, happy to have those back in to fill some holes in the collection. Alright guys, this was a complete cover by Adam Hughes goodness, Catwoman number 53. I don't think there's anything special about this book except it's just a phenomenal Adam Hughes cover. Alright, here's a book that I have bought previously, I've gotten it graded previously, and it is Legends number 1. It's the first appearance of Amanda Waller, and everybody knows Amanda Waller is the woman who runs the Suicide Squad in the DCU, in the comics. A couple issues later, you get the first appearance of this version of the Suicide Squad. So anyway, this is a key first appearance of a major DCU character now. So it's always good to have. I keep looking for high grades on this book. Alright guys, what did I say? More John Byrne goodness. We've got Man of Steel number 1, the special collector's edition, and the regular issue cover here. These are both books I've got in my collection. I just looked at the price. I thought this was a pretty good value, especially if I can find really good ones that I can get graded at 9.8, then it's worth the money, even more worth the money. But this is real nice. I know that I've gotten, when I got to meet John Byrne many years ago, I know this issue this issue, the collector's edition, I know I've got that one signed. So I have to pull that out, maybe get it graded someday. But back in the day, artists were signing on the inside cover or inside front page on the splash page. So I don't know how I feel about getting those kind of books graded. You're going to get them encapsulated. You'll never see that autograph again. I mean, that sort of takes away from that. So I'm kind of torn between what to do with something like that. I think I'd feel better about just leaving it out of the grading collection and just keep it in the PC. Alright guys, 2 books left that I picked up over this long Thanksgiving weekend. And this is a book I'm currently working on my own personal copy in the shop right now. It's gone through a press. I've got one spine tick I'm trying to get out, but this is right here. I picked up another copy of New Teen Titans. This is the annual, number 2 annual. This is the first appearance of the Vigilante. Some wonderful George Perez artwork. Absolutely at the top of their game, his game. Can't go wrong with this. I mean, just absolutely beautiful cover design. I think I've actually got this one signed by Marv Wolfman and George Perez, so it's not quite the best copy I had, but I had another copy that I'm working on right now, like I said. And this one will go to CGC as well. Alright, and the last book that I bought, and I ended up having to, the spines look good, the fronts look good, but I ended up taking it to the front because I wanted the LCS to take it out of the bags. I don't feel comfortable just taking the books out of the bag, so I had them take it out. And if you know about the backs of these books, the backs are a solid blue, and any kind of rub at all is going to show up really quickly and easily. And so I had 4 different books from this run that I took up there, and I ended up sending 3 of them back. I kept this one because it looked really clean, and this is the Dark Knight Returns number 4. This is the last of that original Frank Miller miniseries. This is a wonderful looking copy. I'm hoping at the very least to get a 9.6 on this when I send it out to get CGC to grade it. With an outside shot, I'm hoping at a 9.8. I'll clean up the back, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do a press. I've never pressed a square bound book before. I'm certainly not going to practice on this book, having spent a little bit of money like I did on it. So anyway, guys, that is it. Sorry for the long video. I know we're close to 40 minutes here. I hope you stuck around and watched the entire video. What do you think of the books I've got? Do you think I could have made a better selection? Do you think they are all worthy of CGC? Do you think, which ones do you think are not CGC worthy? I don't know. It's a good question. Guys, just check it out. Let me know. And again, as always, hit the like and subscribe button. I'm continuing to grow this channel. I welcome everybody to leave comments, and I enjoy talking with every one of you. So guys, have a great day. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll see you for the next video.